Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is October 16th. So, the dueling debates. Now, I have not yet heard what the rating situation is. I did see some of both of them. Trump was his usual self. And frankly, Biden was his usual self, right? So you sort of had you sort of had like insanity and sane, right? You sort of had rambling and precise or concise. You had not a clue, not a clue. Two, these are the policies, this is the plan. So, I don't know if there are still people out there who are undecided. That kind of confuses me a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. I saw this morning, I was watching something on YouTube. It was, one of the channels I follow that sort of looks at, polling results and that kind of thing. So they were doing a breakdown of the electoral college. Sorry, it's a little early here. And by their calculations, even giving Texas to Trump did not, I think he only got up to like 188 votes or points or however that's calculated. Needless to say, Biden was like way off at the other end, sort of in the extreme. So, it's just not looking good for Trump. It's not looking good for him in terms of popularity. It's not looking good for him in terms of electoral vote. It's not looking good for him in terms of the fact that, he's got Ben Sachs yesterday talking about, this sort of basically says the guy's a disaster. So you're going to see over the next couple weeks, you're going to see more Republicans just ever so gently trying to pull back away from him. I got to say, kind of a little bit too late, too little too late, right? There was lots of stuff that could have been done. I don't know, around the time of impeachment, maybe, people might have wanted to have stepped up. All right. I'm not going to bring out my pendulum today, but I did check it before I came on here. So just really quick. I'm still getting that Amy Coney Barrett is not going to get confirmed into the Supreme Court. I'm still getting Lindsey Graham, forget it. His race is done. I'm still getting McConnell not coming through. It's some things just defy sort of logic, right? You see what you see, and it doesn't make sense. The pendulum is giving you a different answer, but so far it hasn't budged. What else did I ask? I asked, obviously, is Biden going to win? Yes. Is he going to win by enough so that the outcome is sort of known within about 24 hours of the polls closing? It certainly looks that way. It looks like a bit of a landslide for him. So it does, I asked if Trump is going to basically have anything to take to court, and the answer was no. Because, even if he's going to quibble about one state or another, the reality is that Biden's going to have so many votes beyond that. So that was all sort of interesting. And the other thing I did ask, and I was told that both Biden and Harris, health-wise, are safe and are going to stay that way, to the best of anybody's knowledge or understanding at this point. All right. I want to look at three things today, so I'm going to stop rambling. And I'm looking at kind of three mini readings, okay? So obviously I'm going to check in on Trump. I'm going to check in on Biden. And I'm going to check in on Giuliani for anybody who missed it. Giuliani's daughter yesterday had a piece in Vanity Fair. And the headline was basically, Rudy Giuliani is my father, and I'm asking everyone to please vote for the Biden-Harris ticket. Well, She lives, I was going to say, Thanksgiving's going to be a little dicey, but apparently she lives on the West Coast, and of course he's on the East. So, all right, let's start with Trump, shall we? Because of course, he's going to walk away thinking he did fabulous at that town hall. Savannah Guthrie was amazing. For any of you who saw it, excuse me, she didn't let him get away with a whole heck of a lot. I mean, she had no problems just flat interrupting him with statements, with accuracies, pushing back. There was none of this, Mr. President, shush, shush. It was like, hey, that's not exactly quite right, and those tats aren't right and stuff. So, in that way, honestly, it was sort of a pleasure to watch because Trump, as usual, had nothing to say or do. And, when those hands start going like this, right, you just know, don't even listen to him because nothing he says is accurate. Come on down. I have a question. We're going to tackle Trump first. Before I forget, for those of you who are wondering or have been asking, Paul, also known as White Dragon, who is my kind of crystals guy, and I'm so grateful for him because he's very knowledgeable. He also makes pendulums. So, he is the perfect go-to. We are going to be putting a video together. It's probably going to come out not this coming week, but sort of early the week after, on pendulums, how to pick them, how to program them, what crystals, what stones, what minerals. So if you are, and we're going to be covering how to program them. So for those of you who are interested in that, pencil that in for coming down the road fairly soon. Okay. One more. Wow, these things you really don't want to. Hold on, one more time. Let's see if we can get a cleaner. There we go. All right. Tell me about Trump. Tell me about Trump. Tell me about Trump. Ready? Sorry about that. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Trump. He continues to get really bad news, okay? There's nothing, even his election campaign, the people closest around him, they're really struggling to come up with sort of any kind of positive spin for him. Now, make no mistake, they are, because they learned long ago that you can lie to Trump. He doesn't really care as long as what you're saying kind of pleases him in the moment. So, he's not exactly getting quite all of the facts. But this is the thing. He said, I believe it was in the Bob Woodward book. He said that he really, really won the election in 2016 in the last 4 weeks. And he really, really, really won the election in the final week. Now, he's completely forgetting what happened to Hillary Clinton in that final week. But in his head, he feels that if he just sort of bombards the country with these rallies, that's going to be enough to, pull him out. It's not going to be enough to pull him out. It's not going to be enough in 100 years to pull him out. But this is what he thinks is going to happen, which is part of the reason that he's sort of still hanging in there and he's, kind of like aggressive. He really is sort of literally fighting for his life. But he doesn't understand, or probably more accurately, he doesn't want to understand that the situation in 2016 is not even anywhere close. I mean, generally speaking, at best, Hillary Clinton was 2 or 3 points ahead of Trump. Now, 3 days ago, Trump was 10 points. Biden was 10 points ahead of Trump. The next day, he was 11 points. These are national polls. The next day, he was 12 points. Is it possible that by Monday he could be 15 points? Yeah, he could. And that's insurmountable, okay? It doesn't matter anymore kind of what they try to do on the Trump side of it. It's just not going to come together, and his emotions are becoming more and more and more volatile. He has no option but to literally lean hard on those people who already support him. And that's lovely maybe for his ego, but it's not going to get him the votes, and it's not going to get him the win. He doesn't have the numbers. It's just as simple as that. But that's where his direction is going. He is not going to make one attempt, not one statement, not one sentence, not one word about trying to be, conciliatory, trying to bring the country together, even suggesting that, even if you don't vote for him, you're still part of the American tapestry. None of it. It's not going to happen. So he's sort of off in his little space doing his little thing. There's a lot of friction going on behind the scenes, and frankly, a lot of stress and worry. Okay. I mean, he is, he may not have a logical clue about what is going on with his campaign. He certainly doesn't have one about how to run a presidency. But you know what he does know? He knows exactly how much money he has. He knows exactly how much assets he has. He knows who he owes money to. He knows what his ability is to pay back that money. And he also knows all of the other things that have gone on behind the scenes. Never mind before he took the presidency, since. And he knows that this stuff is all going to start coming out of the woodwork as soon as he sort of loses that election. So a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of yelling going on, It's like he's upset with everybody because as usual, Trump delegates, including his presidency, and then he gets testy when things don't, show him in a great light. Okay, this is how Trump is. Okay, simple as that. You've got death, you've got the tower, you've got that 9 of swords. More money, more money. He doesn't have the money. His election doesn't have the money. He personally, I don't think, has the money. There's going to be more and more information coming out about his money, his finances, taxes, investigations. But you can look for more information coming out from about money as literally his money dries up, right? Literally, as if it just does it. It's like reversed, right? It just, his money is not there. And it's going to be hard on him. Again, you've got a lot of, I think it was months and months ago, and again, I wasn't the only person who said it. Everybody spent a lot of energy trying to figure out who the woman was who was going to bring him down. And several months ago, I said, I don't think it's a woman. I think it is simply the feminine divine, where he is just going to lose him. And that's exactly what has happened. I mean, women voters are leaving him in droves, absolute droves. Biden has, I think it's more than a 30-point lead over Trump when it comes to women and seniors, by the way. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay, listen, this is just not good. Okay, I don't know what else we want. Okay, we've got death, we've got the terror, we've got the 9, we've got the 10 of swords, we've got that 5 of wands with a bunch of fighting going on. It's getting really stressful and really tense. And listen, I have to tell you, I'm just going to take a quick. And of course, why not have the 8 of swords if you already have the 9 and the 10, right? I mean, that makes perfect sense. As I step into Trump's energy, okay, so first of all, I'm tired, right? There's just a sort of general fatigue. The thinking is very, very scattered. He's not feeling physically well. On some level, he actually is acknowledging to some degree that it's actually not feeling all that sharp mentally. Um, that sort of isn't feeling very comfortable. But the other thing I'm seeing is sort of almost like a defeated attitude. Some of the things that the commenters were saying yesterday after his um, town hall was that he looked sort of like shrunk in on himself. There was like, and I can tell you that's exactly that energy. It's like shrunk in, it's going into a very protective, almost fetal mode. And there really is an air about him that, yeah, this is lost. This is lost. And so now all he can do is hope like hell that somebody can pull him out, or somebody can protect him, or somebody can keep him safe, almost like take him in when this all comes crashing down. He wants to go back to a time when life was simpler and people didn't criticize him all the time, and he didn't feel so, picked on and embattled. And, Five of Cups, right? He's in for big disappointment. He's in for a lot of change. He's in for a lot of just frankly kind of really difficult times, right? I mean, it's just going to be a hard next couple of weeks. I mean, God almighty, we're under 20 days now, I think, right? Or at 20, under 20, I think. So, like, wow. I don't know how much can change this late in the game, especially considering nothing he does is slowing down the momentum. More bad news, more bad news. If it's not bad news, there's none at all for him. Okay, let's take a look at Mr. Joseph Biden and the Biden-Harris ticket. For any of you who did not see Rachel Maddow last, goodness, I don't think it was last night. I think it was the night before. When Rachel was asking Kamala Harris about the fly on Pence's head, you probably can find it on YouTube. It was very, very funny. Poor Kamala, she was just like, she was flat out laughing. And she was trying so hard to be diplomatic. Okay, so let's look at Biden. See what's going to happen with Biden right now. How's he doing right now? What's going on in the Biden camp? And how is Biden himself feeling? Come on down. Let's find out. Okay, so tell me about Biden. Tell me about Biden. Tell me about Biden. Okay. Okay. So Biden's good. Okay, Biden is good. Biden is becoming very, very, like, he's not taking it for granted, not by one iota, but he's becoming more and more confident and more secure in the knowledge that he has, literally kind of like the country behind him. He is very, very much encouraged by the fact that, 20 million people have already voted. It is showing that momentum and that passion. And again, they do those polls and they're like, well, how enthusiastic are you? And there's some people who really are not enthusiastic about voting for Biden. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some of you out there listening to this who aren't thrilled about Biden, but there is also an awareness that whether you're kind of thrilled or not, he really is the only game in town if you want any sort of normalcy or sanity to return to the country. But Biden and the campaign are feeling secure. They have $383 million raised in just September. Good gracious. Um, eh, and they're going to continue to get more and more positive exposure and positive exposure. And, the White House is inching closer and closer to them. And, that sort of sense, it's sort of like cautiously celebratory, right? It's like nobody's going to declare themselves the winner. They are going to be working crazy hard for the next 20 days. Now, it's interesting because almost always this card, particularly when it applies to Trump, of course, is about illusions and delusions and not, But the other thing this card represents is having multiple choices, sometimes almost too many choices, and you're not quite sure, kind of what to grab or what to reach for. But what the card's representing here is simply that he is receiving support um, from all kinds of places. And because of that, it is opening up a bigger and bigger I guess, audience, if you will. People are becoming more and more enthusiastic about him. So this card actually is honestly, it's a positive card. It simply means that there's a lot of different areas and choices and that are all just kind of coming together for him. Um, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Trump does a few more things that just makes women crazy, because how could he help it? Um, and that number is going to get the space between women who are for Biden and not for Biden. It's going to get, more and more people are going to be wanting Biden, and less people are going to be wanting Trump. Again, look for a shift or a dip in Trump support with female voters. And here is my little Kamala Harris card, as you know. And so she's doing good. She's strong. And this is the thing. She has that way of sort of getting her point across in terms of Trump and Pence, without really, appearing to exactly attack them. It's one of her skill sets. And so look for her, even though she's going to be sidelined this weekend, look for her to continue to gain strength because she has a great deal of it. This campaign continues to grow. It has not yet hit maximum. It has not yet hit the point where it plateaus. It is still building. The momentum is still building. The enthusiasm is still building. And the fact that that solid ground they're on, frankly, it gets more and more solid. All right, and so these cards, over to the side here, are the three cards, and I mean, I don't know if you saw me, but I mean, I insert them far away. So it's always interesting when these things show up, like especially so close together. But these, again, these are representing Trump's cards. And I think what they're saying here is the more agitated he becomes, the more erratic he becomes, the more he persists in charging forward. I mean, oh my God, he's already at rallies begging women to like him and vote for him. The more erratic he becomes, the more secure and strong and empowered and strengthened does the Biden-Harris ticket become. Because honestly, people are exhausted. They want to see people in office who are darn well going to work for them and get done what needs to get done. And honestly, that's not only with the Biden thing, that really is with the down ballot races too. And you've got some Republicans out there who are starting to get really, really, really nervous. Now, I want to quickly go to Giuliani. So yesterday was, I think, kind of a bad day for Rudy. So reporting came out that the White House was notified in the summer that Giuliani was being used by Russia to convey misinformation to Trump. So somehow or another, I don't know. Why would Russia be doing that, right? I mean, I'm sure some of it may have been about Biden and trying to hurt him, but it actually feels like almost like Giuliani just really, really didn't understand or get that this was going on. It feels like he's sort of like fuzzy in the head about exactly the implications of what that means. It doesn't mean anything good for Biden or for Giuliani, I can tell you that. And then of course there was the whole his daughter basically saying, God Almighty, whatever you do, don't vote for Trump. So let's take a look at Rudy Giuliani. I haven't looked at him in a while. He has those times where he goes really quiet, and then he has those times where he's sort of like in your damn face all the time. Let's just see. What is the story on Giuliani? Tell me about Giuliani. Tell me about Giuliani. Tell me about Rudy Giuliani. Okay. For those of you who may not be able to see these cards, he got the Star, the Page of Cups, Judgment, the Devil, the Seven of Wands, and the Four of Swords. And I probably am not going to need to pull more cards. So, Giuliani was completely motivated by, getting back into the limelight. He wanted to be important again. He wanted to have gravitas. He wanted people to look up to him. And again, he was friends with Trump for like a really, 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 really long time. So he felt, and that hitching his sort of, wagon to Donald Trump's star was really, really going to get him what he was seeking. And over the course of the first election, he did get it, right? I mean, Giuliani was front and center in 2016 when it came to the Trump campaign. And so he was getting sort of all of that reflected glow. And not only did it make him arrogant, but it made him careless. And so what has happened over the ensuing 4 years is that dream, that wish, while it was granted initially, it has continued to deteriorate at, frankly, a rather rapid rate until now. He is under investigation. I don't know how many times, but from what I could figure out yesterday, he's now under another one in terms of, passing on misinformation to Trump. He was literally being used that way. And the question has to be asked, like, did he know it and just think that was okay because everything, all's fair in love and war? I don't know. Politics, or was he sort of not clever enough to even understand that he was being used and played in this way? So, Page of Cups is telling me about communications, right? It's telling me about emotions. It's telling me about kind of the juvenile things that he was looking for. And he would get information and it would get him all excited and he would go tell Trump. And that was sort of like how he has operated literally for the last 4 years. He takes great pride in being, one of Trump's lawyers. Although I notice that every time Trump needs some dirty work done, he goes to Barr, as opposed to Giuliani. But, I guess that's what happens when you have decided that the United States Justice Department is your personal law firm. So I don't know exactly what he does being a lawyer, but, apparently he is one. So things just, I guess from his perspective, he felt that he was sort of on the uptick, right? He was becoming more important, more relevant, more in the limelight, one of those special people. And then as time has gone on, he has started to realize that, judgment is being passed on him. And in some cases, it's really, really not putting him in a good position, sort of long term. And he is also exactly really aware of what's going to happen when Trump is voted out of office and he doesn't have that protection around him. And again, you have to understand there's all kinds of stuff that even if Trump tries to do some sort of blanket pardon thing, there is going to be stuff coming at him sort of from other levels of government. So he is not going to be out of the woods. And I've said this like a long time ago. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Giuliani loses his license as a lawyer. Yeah, he's greedy. He's out of control. Like I said, it was almost as if he became so arrogant that he just really felt like no harm could come to him. He was doing what needed to be done, and it was suiting him, it was serving him, and if that it strengthened his place with Trump, and by extension strengthens Trump like lock on the United States and politics, he just felt that would really, really serve him. And it's not, and it didn't. And so now he's going to spend a significant amount of time defending himself and trying to protect himself. And with the Four of Swords sitting there, it really does make me wonder if he actually is honestly going to be in good enough health to actually vigorously defend himself if it actually comes to that. There's definitely a sense around him of petering out. He's another one who, when I step into his energy, it's kind of got that low, sluggish, just feeling of like I'm putting, I'm putting on a really good front, but it's really not the truth. It's not it's not the reality. I'm pretending to be up and happy and carefree and not worried. But when things start crashing down on him, they're coming down fast. They really are. And the problem is that those people who were using him to feed misinformation to Trump, they're done with him now. They don't have any more use for him. Simple as that. They don't have any more use for him. So whatever purpose he was serving as far as Putin goes, or any other foreign actors, his usefulness has come to an end because Trump's presidency is coming to an end. Okay, we've got Temperance and the Fool. Okay, so part of the reason he's doing this, part of the reason this is happening to him, well, it's because he wanted to be in Trump's circle. And like everything else and everybody else that Trump touches, it turns to dust. And it's interesting because the Temperance Angel is telling me that there have been opportunities in the last 4 years for Giuliani to kind of get on the right side of things. And that was not at all something he was remotely interested in doing. Okay. Okay, so it's Friday. Have a really good weekend. Get some rest, decompress, because next week is going to be one of the more insane weeks um, that we have experienced, I think, in a really good long while, or perhaps it may even be Trump at his most outrageous. So, this is no time to sort of disconnect. Because even if you voted, there is still like that energy work, keeping things, positive, not giving into sort of that defeatist attitude. You don't want to go there. Stay really, really focused on ushering Biden into the White House. That's your focus. And in between that, you know what? Have a good weekend. Take some time. Do whatever it needs to do that, lightens your mood and brings a smile to your face. Um, for those of you who watch the Positive Energy Circle, I will see you on Sunday. And for any new subscribers, thank you so, so much. I'm so grateful. Um, Private readings, information in the description box below. Yeah, I think that's it. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.